I'm happy to be a part of this great opportunity. Please keep it coming. Keep it coming. We'd like to hear from you. Margaret Oluwadare, she's from Ibadan. Okay, she's been a part of Tech for Devs program before. She says her expectation is to be referred for impact and networking. Happy to be here. Happy to also have you join us. Happy to have you join us. I can see Ozioma Okore from Abia State. Hi, Ozioma. I can see Mary from Abeokuta, Omobolaji Olakunle Ilutade from Nigeria. I can see that I have a namesake. She's Blessing from Kwara. Hi, namesake. It's good to meet you. I can see that we have someone from Belgium. Yay! Oluwatobi from Belgium. She says, my expectations are really high. I mean, your expectations have to be very high. I'm sure your expectations will be surpassed in the next 2 days. I can see Adeoye Damilola from Nigeria. She says, I'm really looking forward to learn how social media data can be analyzed to draw various insights. Thank you, Dami, for sharing that. So keep it coming. We really would want to get to meet you. I can see Lillian from Kenya. Keep it coming. More people are joining us. Before we go into the session today, please, few things that I would like to mention is we have tried to unmute everyone. So what this means is that, I mean, from your end, you can unmute, but we request that you stay muted. The reason why we had to give you permission is in the case where, I mean, it's an interactive session, and in the case where you like to ask questions or the facilitator has requested that you give a comment or you speak. So it's very important that you are a part of what it is. So that's one of the reasons why we have given you permission at least. But please stay muted at every point in time. Stay muted. We are here to learn and we are here to have fun. Yes, I mean, learning is fun. Okay, please keep it coming. So we will be taking attendance as well on this call. Okay, can everybody hear me? Is it only me? Is my line breaking? Just use the comment section and I'll get that feedback. Can you hear me audibly? Okay, great. Ore says she can hear me audibly, so that's great. I have on the call my colleague Ore. You get to meet Ore as we progress. Ore will be dropping the attendance on the comment section, and she would also, that's on the chat box. She would also drop it multiple times today. It is very important that you put your name down on the attendance, because only the people whose name are on the attendance would be the people that would get the recordings and every other materials from this meeting. I mean, so it's important that if you're here, you have everything written down. Your attendance is very important. So please ensure that as you see the attendance link on the chat box, go ahead and fill the attendance. The attendance is going to close at exactly 6:05 at the end of this meeting today. And we'll also take attendance tomorrow as well. And aside from the attendance you'll be taking tomorrow, we also want to get your feedback from this session. And all of this cumulatively will help us to be able to gather the data gather your details so that we can send you recordings from this meeting. So please ensure that you participate. All right, so I can see more people have joined us. I can see Belinda from Kenya. She says she's curious to hear more about the link between cloud, data science, and AI. Also, I can see Akpoto go. Okay, let me not mention the name, but she's from Lagos. She says, my enthusiasm is geared towards learning. My enthusiasm is geared towards learning some new technical knowledge, network, get refreshed for some new exploit. Yeah, so something that we're also happy to mention is that it's a good platform for you to also network. I mean, you really don't know the women who are here. You don't know who they know, and you don't know what they have that you have been looking for. Your next, what's the word? Your next business partner or the next person you'll be starting up a project with might just be here in this room, and you don't want to miss out on it, right? So yeah, so ensure that you are networking, ensure that you are, taking out time to really meet people, ensure that you chat. One of the interesting things about this is that there will be a community that will start, that will spur up as a result of this meeting. So you don't want to miss out on any of the things that we are doing. Okay. I believe that we are all ready, and I am ready as well. Okay, I believe we are all ready, and if we are ready, I am also ready. I just want to, read the bio of our speaker, our amazing facilitator. I mean, trust me, you are in for an amazing ride today. So just give me a moment as I pull up the bio of our facilitator for today. Please remember to stay muted as you join the call. Please remember to stay muted. Or please, I would require your assistance in muting people. Please remember to stay muted. Please remember to stay muted. As you join the call, please remember to stay muted. Please remember to stay muted. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and read the bio of our speaker, and then we'll get right into the session for today. Okay. Hi, Mary. Mary, can you hear me? I just want to be sure that you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mary, for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll just go ahead. See our pretty Mary. You can see her. I'll just go ahead and read her bio, and we'll get right into the session. Okay. Give me a moment. All right. So, Mary started her career developing applications. Our speaker today is Mary Oshinowo. She started her career developing applications for, leading job portals in Nigeria, after which she joined Procter and Gamble, where she led several projects, including the setup of manufacturing and warehouse management systems, network and voice infrastructure, enterprise resource planning integrations, Salesforce automations, and image recognition solutions across the Middle East and Africa. She also successfully led P&G Sub-Sahara Africa's IT organizations for P&G, which were in 11 countries. Since joining Microsoft, she has designed, implemented, and integrated cloud solutions, leading transformations in data, advanced analytics, and AI solutions for private sectors and commercial enterprise customers across various industries in Nigeria, in Egypt, in Morocco, and Kenya, ensuring long-term value and customer success. Mary has received her first electronic and electrical engineering degree from the Almighty Obafemi Awolowo University, and she also received the Best Graduating Female Award. She also has an MBA from Oxford Brookes University and is certified as a project manager professional, ITIL service management professional, Azure data analyst associate, data engineering associate, and AI engineering associate. In her free time, she loves to learn, and she trains and coaches recent graduates and professionals on data analytics and data and artificial intelligence. Today, we're excited to have Mary, and Mary is going to be talking on the topic. The masterclass topic is on advanced social media analysis, unveiling insights through data exploration and visualization. Hi, Mary. It's so good again to see you. I've seen a lot of comments from the chat box, and I think I want to read one before you go ahead. Somebody says she's so pretty. I agree. I agree. She's very pretty. So as we go on this session, my colleague Oreoluwa Adetula would continue the conversation. Oreoluwa, please say hello to everybody. Is Ore on this call?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Blessing. Yes, I am, and I'm thrilled to be here. It's great to be at another masterclass.
All right, great. Thank you, Ore. So Ore is going to be on this call and she's going to be assisting us through whatever it is that we need. Please feel free. I hope you have your writing materials, your device with you charged. I hope you're ready to learn and participate in this class. So in the next few seconds, the next voice you'll be hearing will be that of Mary's. Mary, the floor is yours. Welcome on board.
Thank you, Blessing. Thank you, Blessing. You have so much energy. I'm not sure if I'll be able to match it. And I've never met a greater eye professional before in my life. So thank you very much, Blessing. And it's an honor to be here. To all our participants from Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Nairobi, South Africa, Belgium, Namibia. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome on board. And I'm looking forward to learning from you just as you are looking forward to learning from me, because in this life, it's always we learn from each other, and that's the truth about it, especially in this field. So thank you all for joining, and hopefully your expectations can be met. And I'm also looking forward to this being a very interactive session. I have only 30 slides, and the rest of it is going to be practical, hands-on. We're going to go into the platforms that we're going to use. We're going to learn how to analyze data, how to extract insights from social media, how to leverage all of the technologies. So yeah, someone said, waiting, we know now where we want to teach you. You'll be surprised. Nobody's an island. You have so many things that you can impact on me, just like I can impact on you. And I look forward to learning from you all. So without further ado, the very first thing I would like to learn from you is, what are the data science personas that you are used to? So you're coming to this session today. You hope to become better data scientists. There are different roles that you've had that are open, or different roles that you've worked with, or you're currently engaged in your organizations. What are they? I'd like to hear from you. You can put it in chat. You can unmute yourself and mention it. And I'm gonna share my screen also in parallel. I hope you can see my screen. Data analyst. Someone says I'm more of a data analyst than a data scientist, which is fine. Someone says my line is breaking. Please let me know, Blessing, if this is your experience as well, so that I can change my network.
Hi, Mary. We can hear you clearly, actually. Oh, I can hear you clearly. So, yes.
Okay. Okay. Research analyst, yeah. Business analyst, data analyst, okay. Data engineer, okay. I see. Digital marketer. Oh, okay, I think that was a response earlier. Data analyst, data architect, okay. Toby says I'm a Power BI data analyst and work mostly with Power BI, sometimes Excel for report and analysis, okay. Okay, data analyst, okay, data architect, okay. Fashion data analyst, lovely. Digital marketer, okay. AI specialist, data analyst. Okay, okay. That's good. It's good to know the personas that you represent or you've worked with and all of that. So for data science, Someone says mine is a mixed role, project management, data product manager, data engineering, and analyst. Usually you find that a lot in startups. Startups are one of the best places to work where you want to learn about every bit and piece of almost everything because you're doing everything at once. Yeah, but those are really different roles. Someone says AI specialist, another person says research scientist. Okay, that's cool. So typically, the data science personas we have, there is a data analyst, which I see a lot of you fall under. Typically for data analyst is it's one aspect, right? But then the data scientist is also another aspect. The data scientist is going beyond analysis, or let me put it this way, the data scientist is doing more of the models, the creation of the models that will be used in the analysis. So if you have some data and you want to analyze that data, more often than not, you need to augment it. And in augmenting it, you need to apply some models. So we'll learn more about these models. And typically, the kind of personas or roles that you can find under data science is the machine learning engineer, the data scientist, the non-pro data scientist. So typically, the data analyst can easily fall under that. Then you have the AI architect, and then you have the IT decision makers, which are basically the leaders in those organizations. So these are typically the data science personas that you find. So what are they responsible for? Yeah, as a data scientist, you'll probably be responsible for a blend of business analytics and then more advanced use cases like machine learning. And then if you're a data scientist, more often than not, when you develop a model or train a model and deploy it, you would, sorry, when you train a model, you would typically hand over deployment to IT or DevOps or software engineering. It doesn't mean that you cannot learn how to deploy the models within applications where they'll be used eventually, but it just means that that's usually not part of what a data scientist will do. We also have the machine learning engineers. So the machine learning engineers usually are involved in both the training of the models, the deployment of the models, and they are usually engaged in all aspects of the life cycle. Then we have the developers, both professional and non-professional developers. So typically, these are the guys that would be involved when it's time to train or when it's time to develop the models. So say I want to deploy a model into an application that will be used by customers. They will come into play then. And then we have the analysts. So the analysts usually they come with different titles, a lot of which I've seen here. You have business intelligence, you have the data analyst, and typically you are engaged in producing several types of reports. So this could be descriptive reports or predictive analytics reports. And sometimes they go into production, sometimes they don't. But usually this is what you'd typically find as part of the role of the analyst. And so you can see in this table where each of these roles, where they contribute to the different aspects of data acquisition, then learning, training the models to extract some features from the data set so that you can then use those features to make inferences. And then you can also see the aspect of deployment where you then deploy it into an application and then you can maintain the application or maintain the model subsequently. Someone says, am I screen sharing? I am screen sharing. Yes, I'm sharing my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Hi, Mary. Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay.
We can see your screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Semidayo, if you're not able to see the screen, maybe you can try to rejoin. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about the things that a data scientist will typically be responsible to do. So usually you're tasked with the responsibility of saying, how can analytics help my company? Things related to prediction, predicting what will happen, how the organization can respond to those predictions, giving the IT leaders insights or even business leaders insights into the data so that you're not just analyzing the data based on the past history, but you're also able to influence the future outcome of the company and of how you position the company within the organization. So those are the things that you're thinking about. And as part of, in order to do this, you need to work together with key stakeholders within your organization to get requirements. You need to process the data set because cleansing data can be a huge task sometimes. And then you need to build and test and finalize those models and prototypes that you're building. And then typically, some of the challenges that data scientists face will be, can I trust my data? Is the data something that when I finish the analysis on it, to be usable by the company? And sometimes that trust is born out of the hygiene of the data. So is all of the rows and columns, are they filled with the necessary data? Am I missing some empty rows or empty columns? Also, another thing is funding. As a data scientist, you're constantly thinking, okay, I need to ensure that the organization is buying into this. Sometimes the projects are not only coming from the top leadership, you're seeing the opportunities and then you're having to pitch it to them to say, oh, we can actually use AI or machine learning to do XYZ to advance our company. So you need to be strategic in your thinking. And there's something that we say now that the skill of the future in the next few months or years, the skill that would transform most organizations is your ability to imagine. So your ability to imagine is very critical, and that guides also how well you're able to strategize and take advantage of situations in the market. So these are some of the things that you will be faced with, and hopefully with the knowledge that you gain from this session, you will be able to overcome some of those challenges. So let's go on to what are the things that we see within, the customers I work with and generally within organizations. So what happens mostly is that you're dealing not just with technology, but also you're dealing with siloed architectures whenever you're in an organization setting, because there's what we call the data complexity, which has to do with you having different formats, different files, data stored in different places. And then there are also different personas that you need to work with within an organization. And they have different tools that they're comfortable with. Some might be comfortable with Power BI, some might be comfortable with Excel, some might be comfortable with other analytical tools. So how do you rise above those complexities and eliminate the barriers of communication and then bring together your teams to achieve a particular purpose and generate insights that will move your business forward? So these are some of the things that we are looking at, and that's what brings us to this whole promise of a data-driven enterprise. So if you were to take away the complexities of the data architecture, take away the complexities of having several several platforms that you typically use, and then you were to use a single unified platform, what do you think that would do? I mean, top of my head, I can think, okay, it means that people are then able to focus on real business value, real analytical value, and then there's what emerges from that is an analytical power and insight, and you no longer need to be concerned about integrating together different components or different platforms. You can have that everything you need from the beginning to the end, and that's what we call an analytical continuum. So when you harness the constant stream of data that is coming in, and it's coming into one platform, and you apply AI to it, you are able to make better decisions and transform processes. You're able to create new ways of working, new outcomes, and then you're also able to help the organization learn more and refine things further. And this is a state we all aim for in the different organizations, because the goal is to engage customers in new, meaningful ways. The goal is to transform products that your organization is developing or you are developing, so that they're able to meet the customer's needs. Your goal is to empower employees to learn, to have real-time insights and learn what the customers or what the people they are serving are saying and how they can respond better to them. And your goal is to optimize operations. So if you're in manufacturing industry, if you're in the finance industry, there are operations that you typically would do that can be automated. So you can optimize this using analytics and AI and machine learning. And you're also able to, based on those automated processes, better respond to customer demands and any disruptions that relate to supply chain. So without me talking much, because this is going to be an interactive session, I'd like you to do some introspection. Where do you find yourself on the curve in your, oh, sorry, I'm saying, okay. Someone said I'm breathing hard now. Yeah. Okay. I'd like you to do some introspection. Where do you find yourself on the curve? Is analytics where you're focused on? Is it descriptive analytics, or is it diagnostic analytics, or is it predictive analytics, or is it prescriptive analytics? So I'd like to hear from you. And I also like to hear what tools you're using. Predictive, okay. So if you predictive analytics, thanks, Margaret. What tools do you use for that? Python, R, Power BI. Okay, lovely. Okay, Shukrat said descriptive. Okay, Excel, Power BI. Awesome. Mary said predictive. Okay. Kofor said descriptive. Okay. Descriptive, Excel and Power BI. Yeah, thanks, Angela. Amina, thank you. Okay. Diagnostics, okay. Okay. Elementary stage of descriptive, okay. Python, Power BI, yeah. Okay, Excel and Power BI, yeah. Diagnostics, okay. Yeah, so I can see a lot of people are across the continuum. So you're both getting insights, you're getting insight, and foresight by going through the descriptive route, the diagnostic route, the predictive route, and the prescriptive route. I see a lot of skill sets in the descriptive area, which is very good. That's usually where we start from. And I see some in the prescriptive side of things. So yeah, that's really good. So usually a combination of BI and analytics and AI will typically help us and the businesses we work with or the organizations we work with to respond more proactively and become more resilient. So typically you have data coming in from multiple sources, and these sources could be on-prem, they could be in the cloud, they could be in applications, it could be in IoT devices, and all of this can be ingested into what we call one lake. So one lake, when it comes to Microsoft, we have a technology called what we call Azure Data Lake Storage. So typically, this accepts data in different formats. It could be PDF, it could be CSV, it could be images, whatever the format it is in. Most likely, it can be accepted into the Azure Data Lake Storage, and then this data can be consumed directly by business analysts. So typically, you can connect to the data in the one lake and analyze it with Power BI, or you can connect it to another tool we call Azure Synapse Analytics, which I'll talk about in a moment. That's for data warehousing and data analytics. Or you can connect it to Azure Machine Learning, which we use for machine learning. And for this, it means that you're when you use a combination of these tools and use a unified platform, you're freeing up valuable time and resources that would typically previously been spent in extracting data and unifying this data from the different sources. And then you're able to fully harness your data with more powerful analytics than ever before. So another thing that I would like for you to know is there are several tools out there. Actually, it's not just Azure Synapse Analytics for data warehousing, but we also have AWS, we have Google BigQuery, there is Snowflake as well. So these are solutions from different providers. But what we've seen is, and this is the data that we've seen, is that this different tools, they have different prices, of course, but you can save money when you choose to use Azure Synapse because it's 14 times faster and it's 59% cheaper than other cloud providers. And then you also because it's Microsoft, so it integrates a lot with all of the other Microsoft services seamlessly, as well as with open source services. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit more about Azure Synapse, which we use for data analytics and data and machine learning. And it's basically something that is simple enough for you to achieve that single unified platform. So the for Azure Synapse Analytics, it provides what we call scale. So typically, you're not having to adjust the compute power that you need. You can easily ask the service itself to adjust it for you. And then there's unmatched security because we have the most secure score when it comes to the certifications in the world. And then another thing is it helps you to provide powerful insights. So you can actually have Power BI within Azure Synapse, or you can have it within the Power BI desktop or Power BI service that you're used to. And then another thing is it helps you to have that, to finally stop talking about architecture and focus on analytics. Because whether you have, you're a data scientist or you're a data analyst, or you're an engineer, a data engineer, you can leverage that. Yes, Azure Synapse is what I said, Margaret. Yeah. So we're going to leverage that tool today, and that's why I feel the need to also talk about some of the functionalities there. So Azure Synapse Analytics has what 100 connectors out of the box, and it supports customers and developers to connect to Azure and other cloud services. So whether AWS you're using or Google Cloud, you
Hi, Mary. Hi, Mary. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, everyone. So it would seem Mary must
so
be having
there.
some. Okay, she's back. Hi, Mary. Can you hear me?
Oh yes.
Yeah, we lost you
Sorry,
for
you lost
like
me for a bit.
minute two, yes. But you could just pick up where
Okay,
you
thank.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just let me know in case it happens again, then I'll change my connection.
Okay,
Okay.
sure thing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that, and apologies for that. Okay, so I'll just go back a bit. So I was saying that there are over 100 connectors that are out of the box that helps you to connect to several sources. And whether the sources are in other clouds or in Azure Cloud or on-premise or in software as a service applications, we have those connectors. And it allows you to provide both batch and real-time data processing. What does that mean? If I want to process data, say I have data that is coming in every 5 minutes, but I don't need to analyze that data every 5 minutes. Say I want to analyze the data, I only need analysis for the data once in a day. You can combine all of the data coming in and then process it in batches, or you can process the data real time. So for example, if analyzing traffic incidences, I want to know exactly what's happening in real time. It's not okay for me to get the data a day after it has passed. I need real-time data. You can have that analyzed as well. On the data engineering capability side of things, there we have different engines. The engines are like the compute power. So typically in your laptop, you have like a CPU, you have your storage, you have you have your memory. Those are the key things that you need for your laptop to run, right? In cloud computing, what you're typically using is a bit different. So in Synapse, for example, you can run Spark, Python or Spark notebooks, and for that you need a Spark engine. So Synapse has what we call the Spark pool, which allows you to run Python or Scala language in a notebook editor-like experience. And then you also have support for Delta Lake. So Delta Lake is basically a combination of, you have Data Lake, you have Delta Lake. So Delta Lake allows you to take not just all of the data coming in, but also incremental data. So you can detect that, okay, you have already gotten this particular data before, and it just takes the increment from the subsequent data that is coming in. And then you're able to also process data in different formats. So you have JSON, aside CSV, of course, which is common. You have JSON, you have Parquet, you have several other formats such as ORC or even open source formats, and then you can process that. And then it's also, someone says my voice is breaking. Okay, I think it's, let me just let me change my network and then let's see if it's better. Apologies. Oh, yeah. So maybe we can take a 5 minute break, if that's okay, so that I can change my network.
Hi, Mary. Yes, that works just fine. So it's
Okay.
3:42 p.m. my time now. So by 3:47 p.m. we can be back.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So hi everyone. So Mary would like to change her network now. So we'll take a quick short break for 5 minutes. So just in case you need to refresh yourself, get water, get some sweets, you can quickly do that, and we'll be back by 3:47 p.m. Hi, Mary. Are you back? Is your network back now?
Yes, I'm connected to my backup internet. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I
Awesome.
hope you can hear me. So
Yes,
I've also
I
done
can hear you.
something. I'm also not sharing video. Really helps with the connectivity.
Okay. Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine
but
too.
the moment I stop sharing my screen, I can always go back to sharing video.
Okay. All right. That's fine. So, hey everyone. Mary is back. I'll be kicking off right where we left. So, if you are around now, if you're available, you can just hint us on the chat box and just say I'm ready, and then we can kick it off.
Yeah,
Okay. I can already see thumbs up. Okay. Can already see
lovely.
thumbs up. Awesome. Precious. Okay, Mary. I'll just hand the mic back to you. Please go ahead.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we were talking earlier on about Azure Synapse and how it has several connectors that allow you to integrate data from several sources. And then I also mentioned the data engineering bit of things, how it has a Spark pool that allows you to run notebooks. So typically, notebooks are where you write your Python code or your Spark code that will allow you to do some data engineering or even some data analytics. And then traditionally, we've had the enterprise data warehouse, which has been the cornerstone of business analytics for decades. So aside Power BI, which came into play quite recently, typically you would have data warehouses where people write SQL statements. You would see people writing select statements to extract data. So that's how the history of data warehousing and it's also is still being used today because it's not everything that you may. I mean, Power BI is a very robust tool. You can do quite a lot of things, but there are some things that you want to go back into the core data warehousing to do. And those data warehousing capabilities are built into Synapse and they are built on the Microsoft SQL engine, which includes a comprehensive support for the industry standard SQL language, as well as structured and semi-structured data, such as JSON nested formats. So Synapse offers two different configurations for analytics workloads. There is the dedicated SQL pool, which is very similar to your traditional SQL Server, SQL database type experience for those data engineers in the house. And then you have the serverless SQL pool. So the difference is that the serverless is a um, pay per query kind of model. So you don't have like a dedicated a dedicated warehouse where you would typically store your data and do queries on it. In the serverless case, it's only when you're querying your data that the serverless SQL pool is active. And it's ideal for data scientists or engineers who are analyzing new data into the lake to enrich a data science model, or if you're preparing a new set of data for loading into the data warehouse, you can use the serverless pool as well. And it's also cost effective because you only pay whenever you need to query. And then you also have, Azure Synapse also has code-free and code-first development experience. What do I mean by that? Code-free means you can do drag and drop. You don't necessarily need to be very familiar with Python code or with C# or any other code. Do drag and drop, you achieve your analytical objectives. Or if you're someone that likes to code or you like to leverage code, then you can also leverage the code first experience of Synapse Analytics. And then there's also Azure Data Explorer, which allows you to analyze time series data. So data coming in from, say, IoT devices and data coming in massive volumes, billions, terabytes of data. You can analyze that And it does not matter whether it's batch or streaming or semi-structured or unstructured data, you can analyze that. So let me show you what it very much looks like. So when you go into portal.azure.com, sorry, I think I mistakenly went the slide further. Yeah, when you go into Azure, portal.azure.com, which is the platform, the cloud platform we provide as Microsoft. Yeah, and you search for Synapse, which we are going to do in this as part of the practical workshop in this masterclass. If when you go into the Synapse studio from Synapse, you can see something that looks like this. So in here, you have the home page. You can ingest data. So here you can leverage like a wizard that ingests data from multiple sources. So here you can leverage the 100 plus connectors. You can also develop in the develop section, develop notebooks, and these notebooks can be written in Python or Scala. Then you also can leverage low code like AutoML. We'll talk a bit more about that, which is auto machine learning or cognitive services. I'll shed more light on that. Or you can leverage no code ingestion process and drag and drop pipelines. Don't worry, I just want you to know that all of these development options exist within Azure Synapse, but we'll go into the details in the next few hours. Okay. So often to provide analytical insights, we need to augment data with AI. And a core part of AI is to create technologies that can help machines mimic human ability to perceive the world around us. A lot of you will have heard about AI being able to generate um, like a version of you that was younger or a version of you that was older. I don't know how many of you used Face App. Face App was something that my mom found very strange because it helped her to generate a picture of her that was younger than herself and one that was older. And she liked the younger version, but she didn't like the older version. A lot of us don't like our older versions. So yeah, those are all AI. But within the AI retrospective, we have artificial intelligence, which is the broad discipline, is a broad aspect of things. A lot of things here are yet to be realized. They are yet to manifest. We are still discovering it day by day. And then there's machine learning, which is a subset of AI. Machine learning is where you typically would leverage models, either already built models or models that you create to provide insights into data. And then we have deep learning. There is some background noise. I don't know where it's coming from. Just going to. Okay. If you're not speaking, I would kindly request that you you mute yourself so that everyone can hear very well. Okay, so we also have deep learning. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and it's essentially a neural network of 3 or more layers that attempt to simulate the behavior of the human brain. So in our brain, we have what we call neurons, and those neurons take signals from the nerves, which are in different parts of our body. So our hands, our legs, and then they take it into our brain. And within the brain, there are several networks of such neurons. So typically, it's deep learning is mimicking the way the brain works through those what we call neurons. We call them also in deep learning neural network. And then it's able to learn from itself. So if you have asked 3 children, for example, to write the letter 3 or the number 3 rather, and they will typically write it in different ways, but it's able to then extrapolate from the different ways using pixels to say, okay, this number that all of these three children have written, they are actually the same thing. It goes through different layers of the neural network in artificial intelligence. And then at the end of the day, the output is based on a confidence level that this number is very close to 3. But we won't dive into deep learning today. I just wanted to show you the overall AI retrospective. And then I'm going to also talk about how Microsoft is supporting organizations in the different aspects of things. So at Microsoft, we have AI broadly classified into 3 aspects. So we have the AI-powered apps, which empowers business users and citizen developers. So if you've heard the news recently, there has been several announcements in the area of co-pilots, what we call co-pilots. So within your Office 365 or now Microsoft 365, you can ask it to summarize emails that are written to you, or even to summarize a number of emails that have been sent to you within a day, which helps you to be more productive. Within Dynamics 365 also, we have AI capabilities built in. Within Edge, we have Bing, which now you can chat with because you're you're basically leveraging like ChatGPT behind the scenes to chat with data. So it's not like a regular search experience where you just go on Bing or on Google and say, show me or what recipes do I use for, let's say, pancake, and then it would show you a list of websites that you can go to extract those recipes yourself. Now it's able to extract the recipe and respond to you in a conversation-like experience. And then you have Windows also. So a lot of those Copilot functionalities are coming to Windows. Within Xbox, the gaming application, that's what AI is what allows you to personalize the user experience such that it's able to tell that, oh, this particular user likes using it a type of a type of persona within Xbox, and then you prefer to go a particular route, and this is your kind of difficulty level. So it's able to personalize those experiences for you. But we also have um, the Power Platform. So the Power Platform is more like a low code or even no code platform where we allow people to use drag and drop experiences. So a lot of you are familiar with Power BI. You can use that to do some of those traditional data warehousing experiences, as well as data visualization. And then there's Power Apps, which allows you to build apps without writing code. You can basically use drag and drop to tell the system what you like to achieve with an application, and it will get it done for you. And then there's Power Automate that allows you to automate business processes. So if you have a process of approving invoices in your organization, instead of you having to go from one manager to another manager to get those approvals, you can all do that's in the system, whereby one manager goes in and approves, and then it goes to the next line of manager automatically. And then all of that is recorded for audit purposes. And then you have Power Virtual Agents, which is currently being used to develop bots with practically no code. With AI now, you can just tell it that, oh, I want to create a bot that would ask people what their name is and what their email is, and it give them the hours of working of my company, and it would allow them to book an appointment. And based on those prompts that you're saying, it's building that bot for you. And voila, you have a bot that you can deploy onto a website, into WhatsApp, into any platform or most platforms, Teams, anywhere you're thinking about. And that will provide some of those capabilities that you need without code. And then you have Azure Applied AI Services. So Azure Applied AI Services helps you to leverage pre-built machine learning models. So you don't necessarily need to know what machine learning models you need to use based on specific scenarios that we've seen that organizations need from time to time, because we have several customers around the world. We've built these pre-built models so that they don't have to repeatedly build from scratch. They can leverage it. And this reduces development time from months to days. So you have Azure Bot Service, which allows you to build conversational AI. So very similar to the Power Virtual Agent. You can also build using the bot service. Here you can leverage more of a hybrid no code and code approach. So you can build on top of the no code bots and then do some further integrations or some further advancements to your bots. And it gives you a comprehensive development experience, basically. And then we have cognitive search. Cognitive search is one area that I really love because it's improved, excuse me, it's improving day by day. And currently we've just added to it vector search. So let me explain what it does. You have a corpus of data. This could be internal data or any kind of data. And then you're bringing in the data. I see some questions in the comments, but I'll probably get back to them at some point, but not immediately. So you're bringing in the data, and then it's able to index that data and then bring out key words, key information from it. You can use cognitive search today in conjunction with a ChatGPT-like experience, because in ChatGPT, you're basically reasoning over like internet data, right? But there's more than internet data. There are some SQL files or CSV files that have organizational data, or they are PDF documents. Could be HR onboarding files. It could be product artifacts that are peculiar to your organization. These are not general use documents. They are business use documents, which you will only find if you're working with that particular organization. You can reason over that data as well with cognitive search. So you can combine the power of cognitive search and OpenAI to bring to your organization powerful, intelligent bot services where you don't have to start searching through tons of documents, but you're able to get the information you need at a glance. And then you have form recognizer. So instead of going through invoices or receipts or forms, survey forms, one by one to extract the data, you can simply put that data into one lake and then ask Form Recognizer to extract the key value pairs from these forms. And that would basically automate your data entry tasks. So you can, we have a case of Chevron, where on the production line, they are always every day writing reports, and the reports are in a specific format. What happened? Why did this happen? So there's that form of reporting. And with Form Recognizer, what they're able to do today is they're able to extract the key information and then store that so that they can analyze the data very easily to find out what they should do going forward. So we also have video analyzer. So video analyzer is used to extract in-depth metadata from video. So now one of the things that Viva, another product that we have, what it does is, if you're, let's say you join a meeting, this particular meeting, for example, and you join it, if it was 3 hours, let's say you join it 1 hour late, it's able to summarize the things that happened within the meeting in the past 1 hour for you, so that you are not really missing out from the content. And that's similar to what the video analyzer would do. Just this one is time is for video. So it's able to analyze videos and tell you, okay, this is what's happening in this video. We see the application of this in our airline companies, who are able to use the data from the landing of airplanes to easily automate their processes such that the time to hear myself, okay, the time to offload the plane, the time to clean the plane, the time to maintain the plane, all of those activities that they need to do before the plane is loaded again for takeoff is done in a very streamlined and fast manner so as to eventually help the organizations gather the most possible revenue from the airplanes. And then we have metrics advisor, which is able to detect anomalies and conduct predictive maintenance or even root cause analysis so that businesses can focus on resolving rather than detecting issues. And then there's immersive reader. I don't know how many of you here use Edge, but if you use Edge and then you have a document, you're reading a document within Edge, you can simply go to the top where you have the URL, and by the side of it, you see a book-like icon, and then you ask it to read the site to you, and then it can basically read the site to you. So that's one of the things that does. And I think that it does is it helps, especially young children, to be able to, it has hyperlinks to, when you click on immersive reader, it has hyperlinks to certain words that you can then use to learn about those words. So you can have an hyperlink, for example, to the word mountain and show you a picture of what the mountain will look like. So these are things that are embedded into applications, and it makes it easier for reading and comprehension, especially for people that have dyslexia. We've seen the applications in that and in several other aspects. And then these applied AI services, they are basically built on top of cognitive services. So we classify that into the area of vision, classify that also into the area of speech. We're talking here about speech to text, text to speech, speaker detection, being able to say that this is Mary speaking or this is Blessing speaking. You have language. Language is being able to reason. So if I tell you, for example, the city council stopped the event because they were afraid of the demonstrators. They in that place is referring to what? Is it the city council or the demonstrators? So this is a question for you. Let me say it again. The city council stopped the event because they were afraid of the demonstrators. What is they referring to? Okay, very good. Chisholm says city council. Now, if I say the city council, if I say if I change the narrative, yes, thank you. So if I change the narrative now to say, okay, the city council stopped the event because they were afraid. Oh, no, because they okay, I'm trying to use the right word where they would then mean the demonstrators. The city council stopped the event because they in this case could also mean the demonstrators if you're using this in a different context. I can't remember the example I used to use now, but this is the power of language, as in being able to understand the context of things, being able to understand what. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Margaret, for that example. The city council stopped the event because they destroyed properties. Yes, in this case, now they means they is referring to the the um the what do you call it, demonstrators. So yes, it's able to then recognize the intent. Yeah. So thank you very much. Yeah, so we have that's the language category. We also have the decision category. So the decision category here has to do with helping you to automate, giving you things like next best action. So one of the projects I worked on in my previous organization was being able to help sellers identify what's the next best product to sell. And how are they able to do that? If you go to a location and you want to sell a product into a store, there are other locations around that area. We have some information on what those other locations, other stores are buying, and that what those other stores are buying. Because we have that information, we can tell that, okay, offtake from the shelf in those other locations get towards a particular product. So say in the north, people buy a lot more Indomie or a lot more sachet detergent, while here in Lagos, they would rather buy, instead of buying individual stuff, they buy more of cartons or they buy more of the bigger sizes. So we can recommend to a seller that in this particular store you're going to, you should sell this particular number of products or this particular type of product based on what other people in that geography are selling. So that falls under the decision category. Another aspect of the decision category is, say, personalizing recommendations. So say you always you go on Netflix today and you prefer to watch sci-fi music movies, or you prefer to watch comedy. It would, based on that knowledge of your preferences, recommend what's the next best movie for you to watch. So that's very similar to what you find in the decision category. And of course, we have OpenAI. And then you have Azure Machine Learning, which enables data scientists and developers to build, train, and deploy models, from a code-first experience to drag and drop to auto ML, which is automated machine learning, where developers don't need to really have any machine learning knowledge. And no matter how models are built, they are stored and managed in a central registry and integrated with DevOps. So DevOps here could be Azure DevOps or GitHub. If you're not familiar with GitHub, I would highly recommend that you start to get familiar with GitHub. This is where, as a data scientist, you want to store the information on the projects that you're doing, the non-confidential ones, of course, so that other people can find your work and they can reproduce or leverage the models that you've created. And they can also use that to even identify you as the professional that they want to leverage ISO services, in this case, our services, because we're talking to women. Yeah. So I think we talked very quickly about some of the cognitive services. In vision, we have computer vision, custom vision, and face API. Computer vision basically is able to say what's on screen. Custom vision, you can customize it to say what to extract whatever information you have from an image. And then face API can detect a face and probably tell you this is a boy who is maybe within the ages of 10 to 15 years old and he's smiling, or this is the girl. I mean, tells you, describes the face to you. We talked about the speech, we talked about language a bit, and then decision. Yeah, we talked about it a bit as well. So there's also OpenAI, which I'll dwell a little bit more on because it's new. So OpenAI, we have three classifications or three main model categories. And the first one is GPT, which stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Pre-trained means it's a pre-trained model, basically. Generative means it's able to help you generate content. And you could use it to write. So here I'm going to, yes, GitHub. I said GitHub. So far, yes. This is confession time. My father-in-law passed away June 1st, this month, and I wanted to write a tribute to him. And so I gave ChatGPT some prompts, of course, to personalize the things. And I told it about things about my father-in-law. And I said, please write a tribute for me. And then he wrote a very beautiful, crafted tribute. And then I went ahead and said, okay, I want you to create a biography for me. So I got content from different people within the family. And then it was able to create a beautifully crafted biography. This is something that would have taken me several days to do, but I was able to do it within the same day of his passing, because typically when I'm not in a good space, I try to focus my energy into something that can be productive within that space. So within that same day, biography was out, tribute was out. And guess what? The next person who was going to write a tribute wrote the tribute on June 9th. So it took them 9 days to come up with a tribute. It took me 1 day, thanks to AI. So thank you. I see some messages. Thank you. But yeah, it was 90, so it was old. It was time to go. Yeah. It's just not going to enjoy the era of AI as much as we would. Yeah. And then so this is writing assistance, summarization. If you have a call center and you have people calling into the call center and you want to find out what's happening between the agent and the call center and the people that are calling, you can basically use the summarization to summarize. Someone says the party one. Yes, it's the party one. You can basically use the call center to summarize the calls and use that to train your agent to better respond to people. You can use summarization in a lot of instances. If you're doing your thesis or you're doing some other learning, and then you find a lot of documents, it could even be within your organization, and you want to summarize this document because you are not. There's something my brother would say. He says if it's too long to read, so he doesn't bother reading anything that's too long. So he prefers to just summarize. So this kind of tool, for example, is something that it would benefit out of. And then you have question answering. You're able to reason over data and answer questions. So if you're not familiar with ChatGPT, the GPT, if you ask it any question today, most questions it's able to answer. If it's the regular ChatGPT, it's tell you that its data is based on data up until 2021 or something like that. And but we also have what we call Azure OpenAI, which is allowing you to answer data even up to date. So it's reasoning over tons of data and is able to get the answers to you. And then you have reasoning as well. So a lot of things you can do under that is classification, sentiment analysis. We're going to do sentiment analysis today, or in the course of this masterclass. Entity extraction, you can identify from within a large text what are the people that are being talked about, which organizations are being talked about, which locations are present in the text or in the article. You can extract specific entities from that, and then you can basically search. And then you have Codex. Codex is currently going to be intertwined to GPT, but what Codex allows you to do, which is in response to one of the questions I saw in chat, if coders are still going to be relevant. Yes, coders are still going to be relevant, or how relevant you will be determined by how well you're able to not just understand the technology, but also imagine. Because right now, OpenAI is able to help you generate queries, help you generate code. You can tell it what you want it to do, and you can say, create a Python script that will do XYZ, or create an SQL query that will do XYZ. And it's going to do just that. And you'll be surprised at how well it's able to do it. So your ability to imagine what needs to happen for your business, for your organization to grow is going to be very important, because that will then help you to generate the best of codes. And then also, when you generate such a code, your understanding of the technology will help you to review the code, to edit it in a way that is customized, or edit it in a way that you would be able to get the best benefit out of it. And then we have DAL-E. DAL-E is the pre-trained model for creative ideation on images and music. So you can today tell the DALL-E that, okay, I want to generate an image. So if you have an image, for example, I want of Lagos, tell it, okay, I want to see what Lagos looks like in the morning. You can change that, or what this image will look like in the morning. You can change that same image to a morning to a morning view of the image. And then there are just so many. Yeah, this vivid imagination thing is real. Yes, it is real. I thought that's in one of the comments. It is real. So your imagination is going to be very important in the next few months and years, if not already. So what are the use cases for OpenAI? We talked about codecs, being able to generate turn natural language to code. You can actually see a code also and ask it to explain the code to you in natural language. Explain the code like it would to a fifth grader. You can tell it to help you to document code as well. You can tell it to help you to refactor code. In the area of business, you can tell it to you can leverage OpenAI to do things like sentiment analysis, which we talked about, claims and risk analysis, product feedback, sentiment, analyze that, get social media trends from it, generate a marketing copy or taglines for emails, or even ask it to create an email to respond to someone, or create an email to actually generate content for your organization. There are several use cases to it, and the list is endless. If you can imagine it, you can create it, basically. So let's talk about the machine learning techniques and algorithms. Okay, so we have, remember I told you that within AI, you have the subset of machine learning. We talked about some pre-trained models, which we classified under cognitive services, applied AI. We also talked about OpenAI, which are basically leveraging pre-trained models to help you do machine learning. Yes. The key underlying technique behind this is what we classify into three. So we have the supervised learning, the unsupervised learning, and the reinforcement learning. So supervised learning, basically you're using labeled data. So with supervised learning, you can provide the system with several pictures of a cat and then label those pictures as cat. And then next time you go into the system, you're able to you see the picture of a cat, it's able to tell that, oh, this is this picture looks like one of those similar pictures I was trained with. It's a cat. If you provide it with a picture of a dog, it might not necessarily be able to tell you it's a dog because you have not provided other images that look like dogs. But that's where unsupervised learning takes precedence. So unsupervised learning learns to identify things by identifying the properties such as the length or the paths. In the case of a bus, it can tell you that, okay, there's a difference between a bus and a truck. So for example, in the bus, it's probably longer than a truck, or the front is similar to the back in the case of a bus, whereas it's quite different in the case of a truck. The front and rear covers look in a certain way when it comes to the truck versus when it comes to the bus. And then it's able to use those properties to learn and tell you, okay, this should be in a particular category. Of course, you have to provide it with tons of images as well, but then it's able to learn based on the image that you provided it with. And then you have reinforcement learning. So how does this one learn? It's based on the on rewards and punishment. So once it gets it right, it's rewarded. Once it doesn't get it right, it's punished, basically. So it's like giving it more compute power once it gets it right. Once it doesn't get it right, you remove the compute power and all of that. And there are different algorithms that are used for the different types of machine learning. So in the area of supervised learning, we're talking about classification. You're able to tell, okay, which category does this belong to? Does it belong to a cat, or does it belong to the category of dogs? You're able to say how many or how much of this is you seeing in a particular image or in a particular set of data. And then for unsupervised, you have clustering and you have association. So clustering is basically saying, say you have red and blue and green balls, it's able to help you bring all of the red balls together, cluster them into one, and then all the blue balls and cluster it into one, and all of the red balls. And there are several applications of this, which we'll talk about very shortly. And then in reinforcement learning, it's basically being able to learn from the rewards and punishments that you define. So it's basically able to say, okay, this is correct, this is not correct on its own, because it's receiving feedback from you as the learning goes. So some of the examples we'll see is for supervised learning, we see things like weather prediction. So based on historical weather data, it's able to say that, okay, within the summer, the weather is going to be between XYZ temperature, or based on the way the clouds are looking, the weather is going to be XYZ. You see things like sales forecast, so you can tell you, okay, during December period, more people will buy, say, chocolates, so you can expect the sales of chocolate to go up, because that was how it was last year and the year before. You can use it to analyze stock prices. You can use it to get things like know whether a cancer cell is malignant or is benign, because that's part of classification. It's just telling you, okay, based on an image that you see is an MRI scan, this will typically fall under a cancerous cell that is benign, or a cancerous cell that is malignant. And then for the unsupervised learning, because it's chunking the data into different segments, you're able to then tell based on things like customer likes or dislikes or interest. You're able to segment the customer and then provide targeted marketing to those customers. So say a particular customer prefers to use, let's say, the mobile application, or a particular customer prefers to make certain types of transactions every month, you're able to then recommend that, okay, we can automate these transactions for you. We can you can sell, instead of just selling the mobile application to the customer, you can say, okay, on top of the mobile application, you can use your mobile application, say, to buy credit, or to request for loan, or to do some other things that you want the customer to do. And then you can use it to tell whether a customer would churn or not, because based on historical knowledge, you're able to tell that, okay, certain customers who maybe used to make transactions every day, perhaps they stopped making transactions every day, and then now you can see that the timing between transactions is maybe once in a month or twice in a month, you're like, oh, something is wrong somewhere. This customer is not making as much transactions. Maybe this customer is going to stop using us, or they maybe even already stopped using us. You can tell from the data. And then for reinforcement learning, I don't know if you've heard about the Go, AlphaGo. AlphaGo is basically a machine learning, is a machine learning persona that has been able to beat the best Go player. Go is a game. It's played in Asia. So it was built on reinforcement learning. You can also use it to train robots and all of that. So what are the main machine learning steps? So typically, if you're doing machine learning, you would need a compute for the machine learning. So we have CPUs and we have GPUs. CPUs are typical in your laptops. GPUs are graphical processing units. You typically use it for higher compute power. And within most machine learning platforms, you can actually select CPU or GPU as a compute cluster and then leverage that for your machine learning workloads. And then the next thing you need is the data set. So you need to bring in the data. Where's the data coming from? It could be a one lake, like a data lake, or it could be any other source. It could be a website, whatever it is. You need to bring in the data. The next step you need to do is to clean the data. So this could be making sure that missing data is accounted for by you filling it up with some other data or taking it out completely, or to normalize the data. So you might want to normalize it into numbers so that you can make better inferences out of that data. And then you might not need all of the columns involved. You might want to select specific columns that would determine the output that you need. It might not be all of the columns that are coming in from the data that will be useful. And then the next step will be for you to split the data into training and test. More often than not, you can decide what amount of training data you want, what amount of test data you want. As a general rule of thumb, we usually 70% of the data is used for training, and then 30% of the data is used for test. And then when you train the model, this is the time to bring in the model-based algorithm. We talked about regression, clustering, classification when we're talking about the machine learning techniques. So here you can bring in the type of training model that you want to use. And then you can also leverage those models. If it's a pre-trained model, you can use it to train your data, or you can even create things with libraries. We'll talk about libraries very soon. And once you train the data, you're able to score the model. Scoring the model means, you've already split the data into training and test. The data usually has an outcome that you want to achieve. So say you have data of what the weather looks like. So humidity, precipitation, all of those things. And then you want to predict what the temperature that would be prevalent on a certain day. The temperature is the outcome. So that outcome is already present in your data, but you want to be able to see whether the trained model is able to predict the outcome, that is the weather, if you present it with different inputs of precipitation, different inputs of humidity, whether it's able to tell you what's the right weather for that day. So that's what the scoring does. So it takes the 30% of the data set, and then it compares the outcome in that 30% to the trained model, the outcome from the trained model. So that's the scoring, and then there's the evaluation. So the next step after you do that is to deploy the model to applications to use. So for the purpose of training, you can actually leverage, like I mentioned, pre-built models, or you can leverage Python libraries to build some more models. And there are several libraries. Python is one of the code that is typically used, and there are several libraries that are very useful when it comes to Python. So they allow you to not start from scratch, but basically you're able to leverage those libraries to perform some actions. So for example, NumPy is used to simplify or leverage mathematical functions. So it allows you to work with numbers like an array. So it behaves like a vector or like lists. So he allows you to easily work with numbers, basically. And then you have pandas. So pandas is something that allows you to clean and transform and analyze and manipulate data. So it acts like a spreadsheet format, and then it uses what we call data frames. So all of this is not for you to necessarily grasp the details of what this do, but it's more for you to know, okay, what are the popular libraries? What do they typically use it for? Because this is more like a masterclass that is supposed to help you, it's supposed to whet your appetite and also help you understand when people are talking about Python libraries or people are talking about machine learning processes, you're able to, at a high level, understand this. And even I today, for example, I cannot tell you that I know what Matplotlib does fully. I know it's used for data visualization. If you import it into your notebook, you can easily use it to visualize the data. But I cannot tell you that I know a lot about it because I've not really used it as much. But these are some of the things that, depending on the use cases that you will work with, you're able to then do or leverage rather. Then you have TensorFlow and PyTorch, which we use for machine learning and deep learning. There's one that I want you to know about, which is LangChain. It's not here. LangChain is just gaining a lot of popularity because it's used to build what we call LLMs. LLMs are large language models. That's what OpenAI is based on. Language models, an example of which is OpenAI, allows you to reason over data. So all of those use cases I shared with you earlier, sentiment analysis, summarization, generating text and all of that, there are things that you can do with LangChain. So LangChain is one of the things that you come across as a data scientist. And I want you to just have those in mind so that you can, I mean, when people are talking about it, you can say, oh, I heard about this somewhere. This makes sense and all of that. Someone said my appetite is wet. That's good to hear. Cool. I should have simplified this slide, but this is the machine learning, Azure machine learning platform. So Azure machine learning is what we provide as Microsoft to help with machine learning. And what it does is it has three different experiences. You have the notebook experience, which allows you to use code, so Python codes. You have auto ML experience. You have designer experience. I'll show you that very quickly. And then it allows you to basically do responsible AI, responsible machine learning. And the benefit of all of this is you can easily reproduce your code. You can automate it, you can deploy it, you can retrain it. So you can have several people working on the same code, and you can easily move the code from an environment that you have created to production or to another person because it allows for reproducibility. And then it has domain-specific pre-trained models, which provides the support that most data science scientists are familiar with. It also has it integrates with popular frameworks to build advanced deep learning solutions. So when you go into the portal.azure.com, which is where the cloud platform that Microsoft provides, you can basically, this is to take you to, if you type Azure Machine Learning and you create a resource, to take you to the Azure Machine Learning resource, and from there you can reach the studio. This is what the studio looks like. So to develop our build code, you have, yes, sorry, I'm just, okay, thank you, Belinda, for that response. Yeah, so to develop a use code, you can leverage the notebook experience, which supports you using code. You can leverage AutoML. So AutoML is very simple. It's like you saying, this is what I want to do, and then it basically designs the whole process. Remember earlier on, I told you that there were processes that you typically use for machine learning. You get in your data set, you'd train, you'd score, you'd evaluate, and then you deploy. So all of that process is easily done from AutoML without you having to do much. So all you just need to say is to only ask you for the specific information that you need to provide, and then to leverage the models, the right model, and help you to deliver whatever you want to do. And then there's the designer one also. So the designer one is basically you, what you saw in this previous slide here. Here is the designer designer approach, where you can bring in from the left section of Azure Machine Learning, you bring in data, and then you choose what data you want to connect it to. You can choose what kind of cleansing activity you want to do. There is some background noise. Sorry for that. I don't know where it's coming from. Let me see if I can identify that and mute. Okay, thank you for muting whoever it is. Yeah, and then you can say, okay, for the cleansing, what I want to do is to normalize the data. And then you can bring in the type of model. So there are several models within the Azure Machine Learning that you can choose from, whether it's regression models or boosted decision tree, which is under classification, or it's a clustering model. You can bring that in and then connect it to the train model. So all of these are things that you drag and drop, and then you tell it what you connect the dots, and then you tell it what you want to do. So that's how the designer one works. And then the applications are everywhere. So in marketing, you have product recommendations, customer insights, churn analysis. In sales, you have demand forecasting, sales insights. You can use it for pricing optimizations. In customer service, you can use it for customer service management, for service assurance, for service optimization, and the list is endless. I don't want to start reading out what's on screen, but there are several applications of machine learning, irrespective of what the function is. And so the personas that we talked about earlier, remember this masterclass is geared towards data science, which could be pro or non-pro data scientists. So the data analysts will fall under the non-pro, and then the machine learning engineers, the data scientists, will fall under the pro. So here we're talking about what tools do these guys use. A lot of you who fall under data analyst category would use Power BI and Excel, of course. But the ones that we will typically find the data scientists using are the Synapse, Azure Synapse Analytics, and then Azure Machine Learning. That's for those are the two tools we talked about earlier, majorly. And then within Synapse, you have the Synapse pipeline, which is for data ingestion from multiple sources. And then you have Data Factory also. So Data Factory is another tool, but I didn't talk about that much because it's also included with Synapse pipeline. So we're going to do some work within Synapse. And then what we're going to do is what we call is solution accelerators. So what are solution accelerators? They are like GitHub repos, which we provide to the public, and it provides all of the resources that you need to achieve specific tasks. So in this case, we are going to leverage a social media analytics solution accelerator, and this allows you to collect data from social media sites, and it helps you to evaluate the data and make decisions on that data. And the technologies we're going to use here would involve Python. It would be done in a notebook-like experience in Azure Synapse Analytics. We're going to make API calls to Twitter and to a news API source. And we're going to bring the data from Twitter and the news API into Synapse. We're going to leverage the Spark pool, which we use Spark pool to analyze as a compute for running Python notebooks. So we're going to use the Spark pool, and we're going to use that and enrich the machine learning models with enrich our data with predefined machine learning models, specifically Azure Cognitive Services. So within Azure Cognitive Services, remember we have the text category, and we have what we call text analytics or language service. So this one does keyword summarization, that is able to tell based on what people are saying, what are the keywords. It's able to extract the sentiment. Are these people happy? Are they sad? Are they neutral in the comments that they are making on Twitter? Or based on this news publication, does the news publication seem, or the news article, does it seem to have like an happy context to it? Or is it like a sad context? Is it neutral? And we're also going to leverage translator, because not all the information that you find on Twitter is in English. Sometimes you have to deal with several languages, and you're able to use translator for that. And then we're going to use maps as well for segmenting the geographies, so you can tell this person or this set of people that are posting this, where on this topic, where are they based? Are they based in Nigeria, in Africa, or are they based in Belgium? Are they based in South Africa, in Africa, or where exactly are they based? And then we'll connect the data once we're done with the analysis to Power BI for visualization. So the end result is going to look like this. So based on the data, we're going to be able to say, okay, we have some let's say more neutral sentiments. We have perhaps equal number of positive and negative sentiments, or it could even vary significantly, where you have more positives or more negatives. And then who are the people that we see commenting the most on the specific topics that we are interested in? Where are they based? What are they saying? You can check also what are the sources of the information, what are the events, what are the organizations. So basically, this is the outcome. This is our goal, to understand the conversation around the company or the products or the services or the queries that we are going to be putting in. So some of the things that we are going to need for this is a Twitter developer account, because we're going to be connecting to Twitter. To get a Twitter developer account, you go to developer.twitter.com, and then you request for elevated access to Twitter's API. I'll show you how we'll do that shortly. You're going to note down the Twitter API key, the Twitter API secret key, the Twitter access token, and the Twitter access token secret. I'll show you where to get all of that. So you will need to go on your PC to developer.twitter.com. The second source we're going to get information from is News API, and you can go to newsapi.org to register and get the News API key. That's the only thing we'll need from that particular source. The third thing you're going to need is an Azure subscription. If you go to azure.microsoft.com, you can sign up for a free subscription. I think it's about $250 or so per month. And you would create a resource group. There's some noise in the line again. Okay, I think it's gone. Come back. Okay, it's gone. So you create a resource group, and then we're going to deploy a language service. The language service is what allows us to do the text analytics, which will give us the sentiment analysis. It will give us the keyword extraction. This is the pre-built machine learning models that allows us to do that. So that's language service. And then we're going to do some registration also within the Azure account. So these are the things we're going to do. We're just going to register this. I'll show you where to do that in an hands-on experience. So I'm going to need a volunteer who is going to share screen, and we're going to do this together on the person's account. I have some troubleshooting tips here. And then, of course, if anything happens and you have some questions, we're also going to take those questions and troubleshoot together or resolve them within the course of the day. But what I want you to do, most importantly today, is to make sure that you have those three prerequisites. For the Twitter developer account, you might be able to, if you request for it, you might get it today, you might get it tomorrow, but you need to start the process. If you don't get it throughout the course of this masterclass, it's fine. The steps that you need to take are also listed on this particular repository, which is the public repository for the solution accelerator. You can always go back to it after the masterclass, but ensure that you are following whatever we're going to do within the course of the masterclass. So any questions so far on the content, because I'm done with the presentation and we're going now into the practical. Any questions? Margaret, you had your hands up. Okay, you answer down now. Debbie, yeah, please.
Good evening.
Hi, Debbie, good evening.
I would like to know all these prerequisites you've listed. Are they absolutely free?
Yes, they are. So
Okay.
for Twitter, I must mention recently Twitter released some rules, or what do you call it now? Elon Musk is trying to get the most out of his latest baby, and he has added some more stringent rules to this. So typically before I could get all of the data in Twitter by making API calls, but now you have the free, you have the basic, the pro, and the enterprise. The free allows you to create one application ID, and that allows you to get 1,500 tweets per month from Twitter. And it restricts also your ability to get, I think per day, it's 50 requests or 50 post requests per day. So for the whole essence of this training is for you to have an insight into how you're going to be able to do the overall data integration and analysis and machine learning. So we're going to use the free version. The basic version, we don't necessarily have to use that. That's like $100 per month, and that allows you to get 3,000 tweets. 3,000 posts. It allows you to make 3,000 posts and get 50,000 tweets. So we're not going to use that. We're not going to use the Pro or the Enterprise. So I think for the purpose of this training, the free is what we're going to use. The news API is free. Azure subscription, there's a paid version and there's a free version. So what we're going to do is the free version. All of the things we're going to do today are within the limits of the free version. So yeah, hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you too. So any questions on the content? Okay.
Good evening. I have my hands raised. I have my hand
please,
raised.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening again. Thank you for this presentation so far. However,
Thank you.
I tried to play around with data and I tried to get access to financial data online. Is there a way that one can actually fish for this data? Because it's a bit difficult. You know, some people kind of restrict their sites. They wouldn't want you to come in. But is there a way that one can actually get this data out of these sites, financial sites, or any other sites that one sees online?
Yeah. So financial data is more often than not contains like PII data. So a lot of sites I can imagine will restrict the data, but there are several open source sites with financial data that has been redacted, which means they've found a way to anonymize the data. So have you heard of Kaggle? Kaggle is one of those sites that you can typically go to and get. So for example, yeah, so you can search on kaggle.com if you want to search for, just to get this, financial data. Yeah, you can just simply search that way, just put in, or if you have specific things and specific areas you want to focus on, like let's say financial transactions, you can search for that and then you can see there's a data set here already, and then you can leverage that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, I have a question.
Yeah.
All right, so when you were talking about machine learning, the unsupervised form of learning, right? You mentioned that um, items, you might need to input images, but they are not necessarily labeled, and then the machine has to like figure it out. My question is, are there like codes that are already embedded in this system that enables the machine identify these things?
Well, yeah, you can. Okay, so here's the
Do
thing.
I Okay.
Yeah, do
I
you go
wanted to
ahead?
explain. Okay, so for instance, if for a situation of unsupervised learning, you are talking about a van, is there some codes already embedded to say that it has to be so and so height, it has to have maybe 6 tires, that kind of thing for it to produce the accurate result?
So within machine learning, what you typically do is feature extraction. Feature extraction is saying, I want you to use specific columns, for example, to inference over those columns. I want you to use the height. I want you to use the roof type. I want you to use the size of the tires. And then it's able to do a high level classification of those images that fall into a range of height or a range of roof types to say this is what typically the trucks will look like, or this is typically what the what do you call it, the buses will look like. So it's not as if there is no form of labeling at all. No. Typically you will have provided it with data, and that data will already have had an output, right? But when you provide it new data, you don't have to specifically label. So how do I put it now? When you provide it with data, existing data, it's able to extract those features and the range of what a truck will be classified as, and then the range of what a bus will be classified as, so that when you provide it with new images, it's able to automatically classify that into bus or into truck. So it's not because you are telling it that this is a truck or this is a bus, but it's able to infer from previous data that you provided it to say that these new ones that are coming in are buses or are trucks. Do you understand?
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Blessing. Hi, Mary.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, so just so we can have this session more organized. I think if you'd like to ask a question for Mary, you can just raise up your hand. We have three persons whose hands are already raised, so I think we still have room for like two, three more. So we have everyone
Okay.
whose hand is raised, and then all questions can just be answered one by one, and then we can move to the practical session. So if you'd like
Okay.
to ask a question now, this is open to everyone on the call. Kindly raise your hand. And we have Blessing Isaiah already. We have Angela. And then we have, I think, Obatuyi. Yes. Obatuyi Aderonke. Okay. I think one person has dropped their hand. So just two persons now. So I think these are the two questions we'll be taking, and then we'll move on. So after Obatuyi Aderonke, we won't be taking any more questions. If you have more questions, of course, there's another session tomorrow, and all your questions will be answered. Is that fine by you, Mary?
Sure. Sure.
Okay, so
So
Blessing is back.
Blessing,
All
you
right.
can go for.
Yes, so let's just have Blessing first, and Angela, then Aderonke.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hi,
Good
Blessing. Good
afternoon,
afternoon. Go
Blessing.
ahead, please.
Okay, my question is if we can perform all these prerequisites on other platforms like Instagram and Facebook.
Yes, you can actually leverage Facebook and Instagram. For Facebook, you would need also the developer account. So I'm going to show you very quickly. That's not what we're going to use for the accelerator, primarily because we may not have time to go through all of the different sources. But for Facebook, you go to developers.facebook.com, and then you create an app. So when you create an app, basically, I have an app that I created called Social Media Analytics. You're also going to need to leverage the app ID as well as some other keys that you would find under the settings. So within the settings, you can find the app secret. You're going to need that. I think there's one more thing you are going to need, which I think is under advanced. There's a permission secret. There's a client token which you might need as well. So yeah, you can actually do it for Facebook. You need a developer account for Facebook as well. And then I have code that I have a notebook that you can use to extract the data, similarly to the way you do it within this masterclass with Twitter. You can do it with Facebook, but the API calls are a bit different because different platforms have sometimes different API requests formats. Usually you find that in their developer page. But yeah, it's just similar. You're using the same tools. That says Azure Synapse, a storage account, and a notebook within Azure Synapse to run the Python code.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. So Adiroke, over to you on the call now. Thank you, Mary, for this session. Please, sorry, I'm going to be taking you back, but it will be brief. This is actually a masterclass indeed. Most of the things you were saying was just like they were just sounding new, or I don't know. But let me just take you back to where you mentioned about the two sources that is actually most preferred, like this Synapse and Azure. So I got lost when you mentioned Twitter developer, and I'm like, what does Twitter have to do with being a data scientist? Like, I know it's just like a social media platform. Now you mention Facebook again, so I'm just lost. Are all these tools going to be needed to be a data scientist, or just going to be a data analyst and BI? Because I'm actually lost.
Okay, so let me go back to the tools so that I can explain better some of this. Just navigate into my slides so that I can go to the exact page. Okay, so here I did mention that the sources of data can be on-prem, they can be in the cloud, they can be in software applications, or they can be streaming data from IoT devices. In our practical class today, we're going to use data in Twitter and data in News API. News API basically captures news information from several news sources and then brings them together in that API. So all of this data is readily accessible on the cloud. You don't necessarily need to know Twitter or know Facebook, but you need to know the source you're going to use. There's no analytics or machine learning without data. So the Twitter, the Facebook, the News API, they're all data sources.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the tools that you're going to use to analyze the data, to store the data, to do machine learning over the data, to visualize the data, that's what we call Azure Synapse Analytics, which provides a unified platform for ingesting the data, for analyzing the data, for data warehousing. Data warehousing is basically putting the data in a format that is already analyzed, such that a an analyst or a BI person can connect to it, and then they don't have to do cleaning again. They don't have to do a lot of analysis again. Most of that has already been done within Azure Synapse, and then what they need to focus on is visualizing the data based on what the data scientist or what the data engineer has already done within Synapse, right? That's not to say that you can't do some analysis within Power BI. You can, but there is a limitation to the amount of analysis you can do within Power BI. Within Power BI, you're limited to the size of the data. Within Azure Synapse Analytics, you can reason over terabytes, petabytes of data. You don't have such storage limitations. You can connect to several sources. So you're not limited to only the sources that are available to Power BI directly. You can connect to several sources, IoT data, software data, data in different clouds and all of that. So it's a higher level of analytical capabilities. And then you can leverage Python codes. You can leverage Spark. You can leverage several other things within Azure Synapse. You can connect it to Azure Machine Learning. Azure Machine Learning is what you can use for your machine learning needs. And it has several development capabilities like no code, pro code, or little code that you can use to train a model, deploy a model. So before you then bring it into, you can also, within this corpus is also the cognitive services, which allows you to leverage pre-trained models to to augment the analysis you are doing on your data before you bring it into Power BI.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I get it now.
Yeah. Okay. You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Aderonke. Angela, please go ahead.
Can I be heard?
Yes, Angela, please go ahead.
Okay, good evening. Sorry, I've been having network issues from my side. It has been raining for 2 days now here in the south region of Nigeria. So we are having network issues. And I've been trying to keep up with the whole presentation. And I will love to have the record because from what I'm seeing and the screenshots I've been taking, I've seen that the masterclass has to cover a lot. That's one thing I want to plead with you, Ma Mary, to help us share the recording. Then I saw this, okay, like this present slide now. Are we to subscribe all of this?
Yes, you are. So for the recording, I think Blessing already mentioned at the beginning that to be provided to those who fill the attendance form, I believe. And for the practical session that we're going to do, you are going to be analyzing social media data. And for you to be able to do that, you're going to need access to Twitter and to News API and to Azure, because those are the tools you're going to be using. So yes, you need to request access within these links that I put here. Developer.twitter.com, newsapi.org, and azure.microsoft.com. So what I would ask is there anyone that wants to volunteer so that we can start going through the prerequisites and every other person can see how we'll do this? At the end of today, I'm hoping that we can get all of the prerequisites done, and so that tomorrow we go into the actual work. This link here, GitHub, I'm going to paste it in the chat. GitHub. But I'm going to just paste all the links in the chat so that you are able to just follow the link. The link there has the notebook that you're going to use, which has the Python code. Let me paste that in chat now.
Hi everyone. Hi Mary. So while Mary is posting the links, once again, I'll just like to reiterate that it's important you fill the attendance because that's where all the resources about this masterclass, the recording, the slides if possible, and every other resource that we'll be sharing, those are the people that will be sending those resources to. So please ensure you fill the attendance that has been posted in the chat section such that you'd have access to this. Thank you.
What about we that we cannot access the chat box? Don't know.
I did not get that. What do you mean you can't access the chat box?
Yeah, actually, I logged in with my phone, so I don't know, the chat box is not enabled, I'm trying to do
It
that
should
with laptop,
be.
and maybe I can.
Okay, it should be actually, because whether you're using your phone or laptop, you should be able to have access to the meeting chat. But you can also try just logging in with your laptop so you can have access to it. Please make sure you fill the attendance, and if you have any questions, once again, you can just put it in the meeting chat. Over to you, Mary.
Yeah. So while I'm typing, I'm looking for a volunteer who is going to do this. I'm going to be guiding, definitely. But we're going to use your PC, your account, so that everyone else can see that there's no magic to it. Oh, okay, Rebecca. Okay, awesome. Okay. So would you be able to share a screen as well?
Hello. Yes, I'll be able to share my screen.
Awesome. Okay. Last one is Azure Microsoft. All right. So could you share your screen already?
Hello. I don't think I have permission to share. I was told only meeting organizers and presenters
Right.
could share.
Right. That's true.
Okay. Hi, Rebecca. I think, let me see what I can do about that. So just give me a minute. I'll see how I can allow you to share your screen now. Rebecca, can you share your screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I think it's coming. Yes, I see your screen.
So I'm on the GitHub page. Where exactly am I going to?
Yeah, so the GitHub page is not visible on your screen, but we are going to be leveraging the guide in the GitHub page to analyze social media data. So we're following all of the steps written in that GitHub page. And the beauty of having all of the steps there in the GitHub page is so that you can actually go outside this masterclass to follow the steps and implement. I mean, anyone can follow the steps to implement it even after the session. But at least if you follow through the session and talking to other people now who may face some challenges along the way, perhaps in getting some of the accesses to the data source, then you can always go back to the GitHub page and leverage that. For you, I'm hoping that you can go to, let's start with the developer.twitter.com. Go to the Twitter, developer.twitter.com, and then let's request for the developer access.
Is the link on the GitHub page?
Yes, it's also in the chat as well.
Okay, so I'm scrolling, but I can't see anything.
Just go to developer.twitter.com on your browser.
Okay.
Developer.twitter.com. Do you have two screens? Because we are not seeing the browser screen.
I'm sorry. I think I. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
No
I
problem.
made it into it.
So you can sign in, or if you don't have an account before, you need to.
I have a Twitter account. Just
Okay, awesome. Just yeah.
okay. All
You
right.
can stop sharing and then we share after.
Okay.
You can move this to the other screen. It's fine.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
No. Sorry.
Okay. Just a moment, please.
I hope others are following the steps as well. I mean, you don't necessarily have to wait for myself and Rebecca, but the reason why I'm choosing for us to do it with her is, or with any of our other, I mean, we can have more than one person volunteer, is so that we are following at the pace of a learner. I don't want to just do it so that I won't, I'll be going at the pace of a trainer, which might not be fair. Hi, Marvelous. You have a question?
Yes, please. Good evening.
Good evening.
I asked previously in the chat. I currently have a Twitter account. Can I do this process?
Sorry?
I said I do not currently have a Twitter account. Can I
You would. No, actually, you need a Twitter account. So, yeah, there are several ways to get me data from social media. You can either leverage the API calls or the API process which each social media account provides, or you can do web scraping, which actually is a longer process. Or yeah, to get data from Twitter or Facebook, you need to have the accounts with the respective social media source. But if you don't want to create a social media account, that's fine. You can just follow the steps and then use another source that you're more comfortable with.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, for describe use, I see a question from Damakin Yi. What do I fill in this section of describe all use case? So describe all use case is Twitter's way of ensuring that you're using it within the responsible AI AI practices. So here you can basically say you say you're using it for learning. Yeah, you can leverage ChatGPT to describe the use case, but I'm just joking. Yeah, so here you can mention that you are leveraging, you'd like to use make API calls to learn how you can analyze data from social media to be able to provide insights on what people are saying about products or specific topics that you're interested in. Oh, Marianne says I used ChatGPT to generate use cases up to 50 words. Smart. Very smart.
Hello. Can I get started? I'm sure. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so get started with free one. So I see a question from Oluwatobi. What if I want to get data from maybe an airline or a fashion retail store? How do I go about that? Do I need a developer account to my IP address be blocked or something? So if the site you want to get data from does not have an API for you to connect to, you can leverage what called web scraping tools. There are several web scraping tools out there that you can use, but you also need to be familiar with web scraping. So there are two ways to it. It's either you're maybe an employee of those sites, and then you can get internal access to the site, or you're using web scraping tools like Puppetr. Let me just type that in chat. Scraping Puppetr. Yeah, so you can research more on that. And then once you get the needed data, you can then analyze it within Azure Synapse. Yeah, so describe all of your use cases. So here you can put in, I like to use the Twitter developer account to analyze data from social media regarding my company or my product or specific queries, so as to learn how to do this analysis, something. Yeah.
Sorry, is this for me or this is for someone else?
This is for you, Rebecca, because you're at that point where you need to put in the use case that would then be sent to Twitter to approve your developer access.
Okay, I would like to use a Twitter account too.
What do you want to do? Describe what you want to do.
I can't remember. You said something just now. I lost you.
So I said that as part of this masterclass, what we are going to do is to analyze data from social media, in this case Twitter. And so you're using it for your learning, right?
Okay. Should I use educational purposes or learning purposes?
Yeah, you can. Educational purposes, the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. What other use case should I impute?
Yeah, so I don't want to give you, sorry, I have a question. I want you to craft something that is, as in, if we all have the same thing, Twitter might not approve some because they might see it as something that maybe a bot is doing. So that's why I would prefer that you all have something. I mean, it might be similar, but it's quite unique to the way you would describe it. Otherwise, I'll have given you something to write, but I don't want to do that.
Okay, so you want me to write it myself?
No, I'm saying, yeah, I mean, go ahead, write something, your use case of Twitter's data and API. Okay, so I see a question. So that was in response to Damakini's. Then I see another question. Can I share my screen instead? I'm on the developer dashboard. So I see your name as FNU. So forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it well. But are you saying that you've already gotten the access?
Yes, my name is Elizabeth. I already have the access. It's showing me the key on the screen.
Okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, let's give Rebecca some
Should I
minutes.
just stop sharing so she can share instead?
Yeah, I think you should finish. We can always use. I mean, Elizabeth can be our second volunteer. So should we be experiencing any issue from your network or anything, we can always switch to Elizabeth. So thank you for that, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Somi, if you're lost, we've not done anything much. I don't know if you took okay, let me share a screenshot of the prerequisites on the chat so that you can follow that. I've already posted the links in the chat box as well. So all I'm asking is follow those links to get the pre-required access so that you can leverage the tools needed.
I think I'm done. I don't know. Could you check that and let me know if I can get to have
I think it's still below 250. If it's more than that, then this 250 characters or longer would go. So just put in more things. Put in note, I'm new to data science or whatever, just put in more things. So I see something saying Azure is not going through for me too. What can you share? It's not going through for me to sign up. How do we get past with Azure? So did you try going to azure.microsoft.com? See Margaret, Marianne. Okay. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's
Okay, can I submit now?
Yeah, please. So you're done, right?
Yes, I am done. I'm trying.
Yeah, so submit.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I actually default project. So this is what's popping up.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So we're going to the apps part. Project and apps.
Here.
Under project and apps.
I think you mean project app. Here. Okay, project and apps.
So on yeah, no problem. On the left here.
Okay, so which one am I clicking? I'm seeing default project and there's another one. Looks like the same.
Yeah. Thing. Yeah, so here you can click on that.
Default projects.
Yeah, or the settings, the settings icon and the project and app. Can you see the J icon?
J. There's no here.
Yes, there's a J icon just beside the key icon under the project app.
Can you see my mouse? Can you see where my mouse is? Is it?
Yeah, so on the right, in the middle of the screen.
Here.
Yes. Okay, just click on. Let me share my screen. That might be better.
Okay.
Let me just quickly share. Okay. So what you're seeing now is this, right?
Yes,
you're seeing settings and you're seeing key. So this is the settings icon and this is the key icon, right? Yeah. So if you go into the app settings, you can see your app ID. And then if you go into the keys and tokens at the top, you can see the API key and secret. And you can always, typically, if you click on generate for the first time, it would show you the key, and then you need to copy it out somewhere else, because the next time you won't be able to see it. You have to regenerate it. So the best thing is to copy it out somewhere. And then you can also see the access token and secret. So we need both the API key and secret, and we need the access token and secret. You might also choose to copy the bearer token as well. You don't need it particularly for the use case that we are going to use, because we're using Synapse Analytics. But if you're going to make API calls to Twitter using things like Postman is what you can use to make API calls to several sites. It allows you to get and post requests. You need the bearer token, so you might just want to keep it handy in case you need it in the future.
Okay.
So I'll stop sharing now and go back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, so me, I have a question. Please go ahead.
So I think this is it, yeah?
Yes. I can't see your screen. Sorry. I can't see your screen actually.
Oh, sure. Sorry. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where you get the key and the tokens. I don't want your key and tokens to be visible to all, but if you scroll down, so here is the API key and secrets. It's visible on your screen. For the access token and secrets, you can generate it as well. For the bearer token, you can generate it, and then when you do generate it, please keep it somewhere. Don't share your screen because it's your key and secret. So yeah, you can keep it and put it somewhere.
So the access token
because
secret, there are two there.
you need both.
Oh,
You need the access token and you need the secret.
Okay, let me try.
Okay. While you're doing that, the next step is for us to go to newsapi.org. Does someone else want to share their screen for the newsapi.org?
Hi, Mary. I think Elizabeth is saying she wants to.
Sure, please go ahead. Okay, you have to grant them presenter permissions, right?
Yes, exactly. So that's what I just want to do. Hi, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay, so
for News API, yeah. Okay.
Can you share your screen?
Yes, newsapi.org.
Okay, I'll do that now. I'm sorry, suddenly I can't find the share screen.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to confirm. I have to enable it for you.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so I just did that. Can you confirm if you can share your screen now?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, awesome. Just before I go once again, I'd just like to reiterate for everyone, this session will come to an end very, very soon. So please make sure you fill out the attendance form so you can get all the necessary materials from this session. Over to you, Mary.
Can you guys see my screen?
Thanks. Yes, I can. Yeah. So you're there. You already linked created an account. So all you need to do is get API key. When you click on get API key, it gives you your API. Again, I don't need to see this. So sorry, I should have warned you ahead of time. You can always
Okay,
can always copy them. Then the
Okay.
next step
Yeah.
is to go to copy that somewhere. The next step is to go to portal.azure.com. I see some comments in the chat that they were having issues with.
Yeah, I had
the portal.
issues doing that as well.
Okay, so let's do it together. Yeah. So I think typically it would. Okay, let's see.
I think this was semi-quote. Okay, I'm logged in.
Okay. So start with an Azure free trial on the left. Yeah. I see a question in the chat for Twitter. I'm going to just send a screenshot of how to get there from my side.
This company VAT ID, is it compulsory? Okay, it's optional. Never mind. It says that this. Don't know why. Do we really have to verify the identity verification by card?
I believe so, because it's going to, I think it's going to deduct it either, I can't remember. I think it's supposed to deduct something and then replace it back immediately.
Um,
So all it just says check your phone number using the country code.
let me use that. Okay, that now. Okay. Oh, yeah.
So you didn't need the card, right? Yeah, so
To be
I just
honest,
checked
I'm
online.
not
If the email
sure.
ID provided is accepted by Microsoft, then you don't need a credit or debit card to get a free account.
Oh, okay. But I still can't sign up, I guess.
Just gonna paste that link here.
Okay. Also, it's requesting a debit card. And our Nigerian cards are not, I don't think it's going to be accepted.
Okay, I'm just sending a link here
Okay.
that has some of these questions. If you're a student, you can sign up an account without a credit card. How does it? This is less.
So, for a student, you can sign up. Okay.
But this one requires your university or school email.
Students, yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. I guess you need credit card if you're using your
Yeah.
personal email.
Okay. Can someone else?
Or your organization, actually, if you have an organizational email, so you can use that as well.
I do. So I guess I can use that.
Mm-hmm. But I remember I had to use my credit card for my card for my for my free accounts, but that was like 2 years ago.
So I'm supposed to solve the puzzle. Please give me another one.
It says we don't charge your credit card or debit card, but you may see a $1 verification hold on your card. The hold is temporary and will be removed. It's never charged to you. So that's what is in that.
Oh, okay. So they're not going to charge it.
No, it's just a hold.
I guess I can try. Give me a moment to get my card.
Is anyone else able to successfully get an Azure account? Okay, Sally says yes. Kengali says yes. Do you want to share anything that you did differently that worked? Anatu, you're saying, can anyone walk me through set up the Azure account? Do you have a free account yet, Anatu? Because we haven't gone past that yet. Okay, Juliet says I didn't create one. I just clicked sign in and I'm in. Yeah, but if you try to create a resource, it would. So there are some free resources and there are some paid resources. So for example, Juliet, if you search for Azure Synapse, I'm just going to share my screen. So here, if you search for Azure Synapse Analytics, like this. Are you able to create an account? So for example, this is my own free subscription. And you see that's why it said $133 remaining. Oh, you have an Azure free account. Awesome. Okay. Oh, that's good. So maybe you actually had created one at some point. You're welcome. Okay. So Blessing Okpe, could you give Juliet presenter permissions? I'd like her
Hi,
to
Mary.
present. Yeah, could you please give Juliet presenter permissions? I'd like her to share a screen.
Oh,
So once you're able to get past the card account requirements for getting access to portal, I'd like to share the steps that needs to follow so that at least between today and tomorrow when we continue the class, others can fix the issue.
Okay, thank you. I
Apologies,
think
I'm having.
Rebecca's hand is up. I think
Okay,
she
sure.
has something
Rebecca,
to
please
say.
go ahead. Yeah.
Can I ask my question now?
Yes, please go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, so when we were doing, like, you were trying to show me what to do the other time, I noticed that under consumer keys, it was the authentication tokens that we generated the first time, and I could copy those two. But for the consumer keys, the API key and secrets, I noticed that I couldn't copy anything. It's just showing me reveal API key and then it's showing regenerate. So how do I copy that?
You would regenerate.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, but I don't think you need consumer. Let me see which one. Okay, yeah, you do API key and secret.
Yes.
You can click on generate, and then access token. Yeah, you can click on generate.
Okay, they said I might need to
whenever
update for my app to work properly.
You might need to what?
Update my code for my app to work properly. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
So there's no way to get the previous one because they're not showing us.
You want to share your screen? Can I share your screen?
You want me to share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. Okay, so this is my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
All right, so if I click on this, this is what it brings up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is fine. So basically saying that if you regenerate your key, if you've used your key in an application or within Synapse or within Azure Machine Learning or within anywhere before, you will need to update that particular code that you've written before with the new code for you to be able to connect to Twitter, which is only normal. So typically when you create a new key or you recycle keys, you have to always update it in your code. So don't share your screen, stop sharing your screen because it's going to show you your key now, but click on yes, regenerate.
Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen now.
Okay. Okay, so Juliet, I don't think you have presenter access yet.
I
Could
have.
you, okay,
I have done
could
that.
you share,
Yes. So, hi,
could you share your screen? Okay, cool. So do you want to go to portal.azure.com? Yeah, do you have to, Juliet?
Hi, Mary.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, so our time is actually fast running for today's session. So is it possible probably, continue pick up tomorrow such that we can deal with all the issues that need to be done and then tomorrow just pick up and run with tomorrow's session?
Yeah, so that's the essence of today. I was hoping that when Juliet shares, she would already be signed into the Azure portal, but it doesn't look like you're signed in yet, Juliet. But what I want us to do today, before we go, is to at least know what are the prerequisites we're going to need for tomorrow's call. And you've already seen the developer.twitter.com and how to set it up. You've seen the newsapi.org. Azure.microsoft.com is what we are struggling with. So what I'll do is I'll quickly share my screen. If you can give me 3 minutes to show you what you need to do once you're signed into Azure. Is that okay?
Oh, yes, please go ahead. So we can just round up today's class on this note.
Okay, cool. So in within portal.azure.com, remember I've shared the screenshot of this prerequisite section in the chat, and I've also shared the links, the GitHub link, which you can follow to see the steps we're going to take tomorrow. And you can also, within the screenshot, see this one. So this one is basically saying you need to deploy a language service and accept responsible AI terms. And it says you need to create a resource group. Before you can create a service, you need to create a resource group first. And another thing you need to do is to ensure that these resource providers are registered. So I'll start with this last one, ensuring that resource providers are registered. So once you go into the portal.azure.com, and I'm going to my free account for this, I think I logged in already. Yes, this is my free account. So if you type subscriptions, or you might just say it here, or here, or you can type subscriptions here. Once you go in there to subscriptions, and you click on your subscription, on the left, you would see under this settings page, the settings tab, you see resource providers. So under resource providers, just ensure that Synapse storage. So basically the things that I listed here within the slide, I'm just going to go back to it. The things I listed here, Synapse storage, Key Vault, cognitive services are registered. So here, if I type Synapse, if it's not registered, you click on it, and then when you click on it, you see a button to register here at the top here. Do the same for storage. Sorry, not up there, not up there, not up there, here, within the subscription. Do the same for storage. Here is registered for me. If it's not registered, click on it. Not like, don't click on this link, just click on it like somewhere within the line, and then you see register. The same thing for Key Vault. Oh, I keep going, sorry, I keep going to the very top. Please don't make the mistake I'm making. Click on it here within the subscription under settings resource providers. Go to Key Vault. When you see Key Vault, click on it. If it's not registered, register it. And then I think the fourth one was cognitive services. Yeah, cognitive services. So if it's not registered also, cognitive services. Okay, see, for me, it's not registered. So you can click on it here and then register. So that's it. The other thing that we're going to do, I'm just going to register this one so that you see it's a very straightforward process. It's not, I clicked on it and then, okay, it's already registering. So you will see the notification bell. I pressed on it twice or even thrice, and that's why it's doing this. But yeah, it's already registering. So one time is fine. You don't need to click on it multiple times. The other thing that I said to do is to create a resource group. So when you go to the portal, search for resource groups, and then create one. You can name it anything. You can name it Tech for Dev. To create one, you click on create. Typically, you have just one subscription, so you can select that subscription. You can give it any name, say Tech for Dev MS, like Masterclass, or whatever you give it as a resource name. Select the region. I would recommend for you to select West Europe. And I'll explain more on why tomorrow, West Europe. And then simply create, click on create. Once you've created the resource group, you see it to tell you resource group created, and then you can go into it. So let's say I want to have created, let's say this is Tech for Dev. I can go into that resource group and create. So I'm going to ask you to create a language service. So here, you could go to language service. You see language here. Click on language and then create. So when you click on create, these are the things that the language service helps you. These are the default features that it gives you. You don't need this custom features for the purpose of this training, but these are also available. Then you click on continue to create your resource. It will ask you to put in the resource group. So put in the resource group that you've created just before now. Put in the region, West Europe. Give it a name. You can call it any name, your name, Tech for Dev, whatever it is. And then pricing tier, you can use the free tier. or the standard tier. This is it's not so expensive. It's very cheap within the limits. And then go to next. Networking, don't change anything. All networks is fine. Identity, don't change anything. And then tags, no need to change anything. Go to review and create. And then once you review and create it to validate, the next step is to create. You see create, so you go ahead and create it. So I haven't put in the information, otherwise it will have activated this create button. But that's what you need to do before tomorrow, basically. And we can continue from there tomorrow. So thank you very much for the extra time. And I hand over now to Blessing or Ore to conclude the call for today.
Thank you so much, Mary, for such an insightful and amazing session. I have to say, my notepad is full, and I believe that that of so many persons on the call too. Just tell us, ladies, just tell us on the call how was today's session for you. Just use one word to describe it. Something you learned in today's session. How was it? I'd just like to get feedback from us. Let me hear us in the comment section. Okay, I can see Somi already saying thank you. I can see a lady already saying thank you. I can see Precious saying it was insightful. I didn't care saying it was
You're
awesome.
welcome.
Yes, so thank you so
Great to
much,
see.
Mary. Yes, and Marianne said it was
Thank you.
mind blowing. Yes, it was for me as well. And so,
Thank
we're not done with this masterclass. We still have another session tomorrow by 10 a.m. By 10 a.m. West African time. So please ensure that you are here. Please ensure that you are right on time. And once again, if you did not fill the attendance sheet, please make sure you fill the attendance sheet so you can get all the information as regards this session. You'll be joining with the same invite that you used to join today's class. So please note that same invite you used to join today's class. Thank you all very much, and we can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thank you once again, Mary, and do have an enjoyable evening, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And please do the prerequisites before tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye, Mary.
Hello, Ore. What did you say? FNU? FNU, what's your name? Elizabeth, right?
Elizabeth. Yes,
Right.
Elizabeth. I said bye,
Okay.
Mary.
Oh,
Have a
okay,
great
bye.
Friday.
You too. Don't party too much. Bye-bye.
Bye.